Welcome back, my fellow freedom lovers. Today we're going to be going over the FACTR USA trigger for your Slimline 43, 43X, or your 48. Now, if you have either one of those models, you know it is a nasty little girl when it comes to that trigger. Plenty of grit and plenty of extra weight on it, but FACTR has definitely got something that's going to change that. Before we go any further, a word from today's sponsor. Today's video is brought to you by Hidden Hybrid Holsters, bringing you that sweet handmade Amish leather to fulfill your needs from belts to holsters. Whether it's treating that 1911 right, tucking that new Army hand cannon into your pants, or just a little bit of leather to go with that sweet 80s mustache, check out hiddenhybridholsters.com or at the link in the description. When it comes to aftermarket triggers, one of the things obviously you need to pay attention to is those consistent safeties. You've got to maintain all of those, which the FACTR USA does, but it gives it a nice, clean, hardwall break while reducing that take-up overall. Now that's something that I am a huge fan of. I really like to have that consistent hardwall rather than like a rolling break. Now you may like something different, and I'm really curious if you do, or if you have installed a different trigger. Let me know in the comments which one you went with and which type of break you like. Now, something that a lot of people change is going to be a connector. And when you change the connector in that trigger housing, it may drop the weight, but that's also what can give you that kind of mushy trigger feel and take away that nice hard wall. FACTR USA has gone with the trigger bar, a little bit of a different geometry on the trigger shoe, and a reduced powered striker safety spring, which gives it that nice smooth break, but a defined and hard wall, which is what I am a fan of out there. I just don't like the squishy triggers. But we're gonna go ahead and get into this thing and show you what they did to it, show you those parts, of course do some pull tests, but make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel, turn the bell notification icons on, and definitely give this little gray sexy honey a like. If you guys are interested in supporting the channel, you can use any of those links down below or check out Shall Not Comply, which makes these awesome shirts. They have taken on my brand along with Reno May and Johnny B, so I don't have to deal with trying to get t-shirts shipped out anymore. Check them out, but we're gonna get into this trigger right now. All right, let's go ahead and jump into this trigger from FACTR USA. Take a good clean look at this up close. Obviously a nice different design. Trigger shoe safety goes all the way flush. We've got some really nice chamfer cuts on here. Makes it feel quite good on the finger as compared to the factory trigger. Nice positive spring pressure on that trigger shoe safety, feels good. Pulling it back, you have a defined and hard wall, almost no creep, and a break. So there's your take up, there's your break. Reset, hard wall, break. That's what I'm looking for when it comes to a trigger. Let's go ahead and look at what we are going to get here. Now when it comes to the FACTR, you are going to get the trigger shoe. Obviously you can see their little FACTR logo right there. Might be a little bit hard to see on camera. Trigger shoe, trigger bar, and you're going to get a reduced power spring for the striker block safety, which is this guy right here. So one of the things you need to look for when you're installing anything is obviously make sure that the trigger cannot be worked without your finger depressing that safety there. Also ensure that as that is pushed against the frame, okay, that the trigger bar right here cannot fall off of that drop safe ledge. You've got to make sure that that is completely intact. The other thing you're going to want to do too is when this is back together, and I'll kind of explain it to you and you'll kind of understand once you do it at home. You need to put it back together, ensure that the trigger is reset and everything. You're going to look up in the trigger well and make sure, okay, that the vertical extension here of the trigger bar, that part right there, is not riding, okay, on top of that safety. This is what blocks your striker, okay, from going forward. So you can't push it forward. As I depress that, the striker will move. You've got to ensure that this is not defeating that on any kit that you put in. Well, let's go ahead and we'll do some pull tests here and give you guys a good idea of what this is pulling out. And I'm going to explain to you, quick functions check, the leverage and where you should be pulling on your trigger. I pull low because think about leverage. If I'm pulling my finger down here, I get a good clean break right at about 4 pounds and 2 ounces. We'll go ahead and do 3 pulls. That's generally what I do. And then I'll show you the difference if we pull in a different area. So about 4 pounds and 4 ounces on that one right there, as you can see. Do our last one, and then I'll show you where we pull high, what you end up getting. Okay, so again, right there, 4 pounds, 4 ounces, very consistent. So if you think about it, if you pull way up high here, you're not getting the best leverage. So if I pull right there just enough to get on the safety and depress it, okay, we are now breaking that trigger, okay, over the 5 pounds, about 5 pounds and 4 ounces. So that explains to you kind of where, where you should have your finger. As low as you can possibly work it is going to give you the lightest, best trigger feel. Let's go ahead and talk about how this thing feels on the range, the price, and all those things you're interested in. That is just a clean little 43. I love the way this thing turned out. Those Tyrant mag extensions, that FACTR trigger, and that Tyrant mag release just make this a sleek, stealth little looking gray honey, and you know that gray is my favorite color. So talking about how this performs on the range, like I said before, it gives me that nice, hard, consistent wall. Feels quite a bit better tactile-wise on the finger, being that that trigger shoe safety goes all the way back. And that trigger shoe safety is extremely positive. I like a firmer trigger shoe safety spring because I really like to know that I am in position in the right place and that it is fully depressed and I hit that wall and I'm ready to break that shot. And of course, one of the biggest things is all of the safeties have been maintained in this FACTR trigger. If you're doing something or buying a trigger kit or something that gets around or bypasses any of those safeties, one, you're stupid, and two, that's just not providing a safe environment for everybody else out there that could be around you. And not only are all those safeties maintained, but it definitely looks good doing it. The overall feel of that shoe is great with the way that they have chamfer cut the edges off and that positive trigger shoe safety. That hard wall, like I said, definitely something I look for. Now, as far as cost goes on this, it's right at $120, which is pretty much where most trigger kits are these days. But I do have a coupon code of TC10 if you're interested, which will save you 10%. I hope you guys like learning about this trigger from FACTR USA for your slim line, your 43, 43X, or your 48. Definitely a nice setup. If you guys are interested in supporting the channel, you can use any of those links down below or go over to Shall Not Comply and check out the swag. You guys get out there, enjoy some range time. I know ammo is short, I am feeling it too, but remember, if you stay ready, you ain't gotta get ready, and I will see you guys on the next one.